Hey, I'm Sarah Gonzalez. Welcome to the news and why it matters. Still in lovely California at the Daily Wire HQ, and we loved Michael and Elisha so much, we wanted to have you guys back for one more round.
Oh, come on.
To wrap up our week in California.
You just like having Michael back because he's like a mini you.
Yeah, they're doing a bloom over here.
Sarah just likes finally having more estrogen in the room.
Well, it's amazing. It just brings a totally different vibe.
Actually, what it is you're a fantastic. You're an author yourself.
I am a best-selling author
and
myself.
So we can relate.
We authors.
What it takes to write a book.
That's right. That's true.
How long did it take you to write that?
Well, it took me my whole life to research it. It took me my whole life. The writing, it sort of flowed out of me. To write well is to think clearly. That's why it's so hard.
If people don't know what your book is.
Yeah, please tell them.
Yeah.
It's a #1 international bestseller, Reasons to Vote for Democrats, a comprehensive guide.
It is very
comprehensive.
Substantial. It's about 265, 270 pages. Full bibliography, dedicated as Thucydides to become a work of all time.
Yeah.
And those are
the one I got. There were no words on the pages.
No, there was a cover. You saw the cover.
Yeah, but on the pages there were no words.
In the bibliography,
so.
and then that's right. Yeah. Which chapter did you have a question about?
I think I got all of it. That was just brilliant.
All right, Glenn, what's your top story?
Top story for me is the lies that we tell ourselves on the violence of America.
All right, Michael.
My top story is that white liberals in America are now castrating the Spanish language. They've added a new word to Merriam-Webster, Latinx. No Latino, no Latina. The new word we have to have, Latinx.
Can we stop with the new word?
Sounds more derogatory.
It does.
Right?
It doesn't. Hey, Latinx.
Hey, Latinx,
come on
over here. You.
She's a nice Latinx.
Elisha.
I like to keep things fun on a Friday. I'm going to talk about. Want to talk about.
Latinx isn't fun.
It's so disturbing.
Right,
just stop saying it. It just sounds bad to me.
Hey, Toots and Latinx, come on over.
Oh, flashbacks, bad memories. LeBron James is coming to Hollywood.
All right.
Not just the Lakers. Apparently, he's going to be taking over Hollywood.
Here we go.
And I wish Stu was here for that one because, as we all know, he loves LeBron James. Yeah,
loves him.
He does not. Before we get into that, I want to thank our sponsor, iTarget Pro. We were just talking about this yesterday, explaining to them how it works. But Glenn has it. I'm still waiting. iTarget Pro. I really need to use this because
We'll order one. Right here at the bottom of the screen.
What?
You go
is that where
iTargetPro.com.
Oh.
Right there. Right now, you're going to save 10%, but you have to use the promo code NEWS.
iTargetPro.com. But seriously, I never have time to go out to the range. It gets expensive.
Are you a good shot?
I think I am. You know what? I have a funny story. No, funny story.
No,
hold on. Someone, when I was going to get my concealed carry, and I was getting tips, and someone said, you got to do the test where you see if you're left or right eye dominant, and somehow I did that test wrong, and for the longest time, I was terrible. Like I was not even close. And I was just like, I was like, why am I so bad? And my dad was like, Sarah, I don't really know what else to tell you. And then I said, hold on a second. Let me just try something. And I switched to the other eye and I was immediately great.
So I've had that experience with my son-in-law.
Yeah.
Nope, doesn't matter which eye you use. Anyway, iTarget Pro, it's a little laser. It's like a laser bullet. You can't see the laser, so you have to use the sights. But you can use it in your own home, living room. Dry firing is the most important thing because you'll change the way you shoot.
I have a very long pull, so it's essential to practice because it's way longer than you think it's going to be.
And it's also important to practice on different types of weapons that you own.
Yes, your specific weapons.
It's almost like you're not from California.
I've said this numerous times.
All right, so save 10% with promo code NEWS at iTargetPro.com. Glenn, your top story.
Oh, yes. So my top story is
the lies.
Crime. Yeah. The lies that we tell ourselves about crime and being safe here in America. Everybody, I said to my wife the other day, because I had read The Coddling of the American Mind by Jonathan Haidt. Had you read that yet?
I have.
Okay. It's fantastic. And his recommendations at the end are the best. Put your kid on a bike and tell them to ride their bike to school as early as possible. And I love that. And it's just the common sense thing. So I talked to my wife and I said, you know, these are some of the suggestions, you know. And I remember when being 7 years old, you know, I was like 1934.
It's 18,
and
21, yeah.
you. And my mom just giving me, you know, money for a gallon of milk and saying, go up to the store and get a gallon of milk. And that was like 2 blocks away. I think I may have been 6. I couldn't have been older than 7. And nobody thought twice of it. Now, it's crazy. And so I'm talking to my wife and she said, oh, I don't know. I don't, you know. I'm like, kids are 25, honey.
They can go get the milk.
They can go get the milk. Yeah. And she said, you know, kidnapping and all this stuff. And I said, it's not true. And even showing all the statistics, you don't believe the statistics. Well, here are the new statistics. Crime is now down again in the year of the gun. Crime is down 8%. 8%. At the same time, Great Britain, crime has gone up, was it 22%? And knife crime up 11%.
No, 22 increase in knife crime and 11% rise in gun crime.
They don't have guns.
Apparently they do.
I saw this stupid BBC show. I'm trying to remember what it is. It's this police show. And I don't know, I like watching police shows from different countries because then I could go, that country's riddled with crime, like they used to do with us.
Yeah, like in Britain, like, excuse me, sir, please don't commit that crime, please. I would ask you, sir.
So they have this, they're trying to catch this serial killer, okay? And he's like torturing young girls and killing them. And they've got him in, they know, they can see him walking back and forth and they can hear the whimpering of a girl, okay, in there. And they come down the stairs and he's behind this door. And one of them says, you know, Peter, the door. And he's like, all right, me blokes, let's go. And he goes in right before he kicks down the door. The other officer and him, they both pull out their flashlight. I swear to God, they pulled out a flashlight.
They're gonna blind him.
And then
Sometimes they're heavy, you know.
Yeah.
that's what they did. That's what they did.
pummeled him?
He came in, yeah, he came with a machete, you know, and knife crime.
A knife crime, right? Yeah.
So he comes at him with a machete, and they both have their flashlights, and they're like, no, don't hit me, don't hit me, don't hit me. In America, the show ends quickly. Boom, you're dead.
They don't even have to open the door. You
Yeah.
really,
You don't need the court case. You don't need anything. He's got a machete. There's a girl. Boom.
No questions
I
asked.
gotta say, I don't think that things are gonna change culturally, even though the statistics are very plainly obvious. I'm definitely a person that I just like, show me the facts. Maybe that's why I'm here at Daily Wire. I don't know why. But there's an element of, I've been mommy shamed before for doing basic things like nursing my youngest on a park bench and watching my 5 and 9-year-old play at the slide 10 feet away. Like, or, you know, hey, babe, watch the kid. I'm running to the ladies' room. And then the husband lets her go watch the airplanes at DFW Airport. And an old lady comes over and says, is that your child? She's being, you know, she's unaccounted for.
Oh.
I think that I can try to get your wife on board with the, you know, not being a helicopter parent, because statistically, also I think it does so much, especially for young girls, to be able to experience the independence of being able to do their own thing and the self-confidence and the smarts to figure out their way with other people and in certain situations while you're observing, while you're treating them and teaching them what they need to know. But it's culturally, especially, dear Lord, here in LA, you have like a citizen behind every corner that's like calling child control on you.
Can I tell you something though? They're only doing that in places until it gets insane, and then they stop. One of the reasons why I moved from Manhattan is we lived in Manhattan, and I thought it was great because I'm right in the center of everything.
Center of the universe, yeah.
Yeah, and I've got, you know, I'm going here and there, and the house is right around the corner, and so you could do so much. My wife hated it. And she's like, there's no place to play. And I was like, see that right there?
Right in the center of the...
That's Central Park. Play. And she said, you take them to Central Park. And so Saturday was coming, and I'm like, I will this Saturday. we moved shortly after. And here's why. I went to Central Park. I had the kids. They were very young at the time, 5 and 7 maybe. And I take them to Central Park, and all these kids are playing. And as I'm standing there, all the parents are standing around, and I see under the monkey bars these 3 girls, and they're probably 6 or 7, and I'm watching them, and I'm watching my kids as they're playing real close, and these girls start calling the other friends over, and then they drop their pants, and they crap, not pee, crap under the monkey bars, and they're encouraging the other kids to crap under the monkey bars. And I'm standing there, and I'm seeing this, and then I look like the parents.
The parents.
This must have been the Dinkins era of New York, yes.
No, this is just, and I'm like, which one of you? And the parent next to me, who was talking to the other parent of one of the kids, they just looked and they said, "Oh, geez, Susan, I told you, don't do that." She does that all the time. I said, "Kids, come on, we're going back to the apartment and we're calling U-Haul right now."
We're going to Texas.
Oh my God.
That I'm not surprised, having lived in New York a lot of my life. Mayor de Blasio is returning everyone to doing that now.
Yeah.
But when you look, there's another interesting statistic here. The violent crime is down since '93 tremendously. And yet, public opinion polls find people constantly think crime has increased year over year.
Oh, maybe
They just
like
keep increasing.
Twitter.
Yes.
Yeah, it could be
it's the
that-
headlines. It's all the
This is
headlines.
going on-
24/7 news cycle, anyone?
Yeah, or is it also to do with all of the politicians that want to convince us we need them?
That's right. But there's a real irony, I find, when you look at those crimes decreasing, that we're constantly being told we need to let criminals out of prison. We're constantly being, it was like the Fox
Especially here in
Butterfield
California.
headline. Yeah, do you remember the crime rate continues to decrease despite prisons filling? So, well, maybe those have something to do with one another. Maybe that isn't a contradiction. I don't, it's
interesting for me, Elisha, you are probably a much more hands-off mom than I am. And I try really, it's a conscious decision that I have to make because I know these statistics. I mean, I work in this industry. We talk about it on the show. And yet the thought of sending my son outside to play by himself still terrifies me. But I think that it's more of a what if I am that statistic, only because we hear about the bad and we don't hear about the good. So while I know that it's still, statistically speaking, it's much less likely to happen to me, that's all that I see in the news, and that's all that I see when I look anywhere. And so I worry that I don't want to be that statistic still. Does that make sense?
So I and I don't want to get into it here again, but on my broadcast on September 10th of this year, I talked about my son who was in my home, approached, if you will, by a pedophile online. And only by the grace of God did we catch it. And only because of the security we have, and my wife being very attentive, and found out about it at 2:00 in the morning. And I will tell you, I have literally $1 million of security equipment in my house. The police call my house the compound. I have servers upstairs with all kinds of stuff on them. And if that can happen to me, the biggest danger is not in the street. The biggest danger is online.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right. So, Glenn, I know that you have to run to a meeting, so you're not going to be joining us. But before you go, we wanted to highlight just.
Are you going to give me a cake?
No, I don't have a cake for you. No, but
Cupcake?
we
We have a kale salad from the city of LA.
Yeah, we are in California.
Yikes.
So we wanted to highlight some of your finer moments in California. Watch.
They remain puppets! Puppets! And they do not have sexual orientation.
I actually found a video of someone else of notoriety who was making the racist sign. Let's watch.
Oh, it's so bad here, nobody can afford anything. Because of capitalism. Western way.
There it is.
There's at one point I'm talking about, lederhosen and singing Edelweiss. And I said, so, I dress up, in lederhosen, and I sing Edelweiss, Edelweiss, which makes it kind of humorous. The producers in New York, can you do that again and not sing? No.
No, this is medicine. This is medicine in California. This is all medical. All medical. How did I not notice that?
I got to get this back on the plane.
I believe the person who was threatening you with that was Anthony Weiner.
Right. And I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah.
Bring it on.
Unleash me on the wiener. There's a woman that's come out on Santa.
Oh, no.
Yeah, when Santa was in high school.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
What did
He
do?
raped her. Full on
That's not-
rape.
all right.
Well, he was young. He was athletic. He was.
Oh, okay.
This is before he started to drink and get fat. I swear to you, Dolly was raped by that fat man, and I know because I'm a Charlie in the box.
Right.
We are too stupid to run a country.
We should just give up. We really should.
Yeah, we really should. You know what, America? Put your tools down. I think we're done as a country. Just walk away. I don't know if you're working the bandsaw. You probably shouldn't be working that. Just put the tools down, turn off the machine. Let's go home.
Got a lot more to get into, but before we do that, I want to thank our sponsor, Mercury Real Estate. Glenn actually founded Mercury Real Estate with realestateagentsitrust.com because he found that they were working with their realtor and they weren't really getting what they wanted. So we talk a lot about, I thought to myself, okay, I'm buying a home. It's the biggest investment I'm ever going to make, and I mean I've done this before, and I, for the life of me, cannot remember my realtor's name. Right?
That's right, yeah.
Like you use realtors, you see realtors on like bus stops, right? And you sit on them. But you have no idea. There's all these realtors. You could just go take a phone book and
Eeny, meeny,
spin the
miny,
pages.
moe.
Yeah, and pick one.
Plus, they send you junk mail all the time.
Yes, it's so annoying. So this way, Glenn actually has a team, and they fully vet all of these realtors. They handpick them. They're all people who do this full time. It's not just like, oh, my sister's cousin's husband's son actually does that on the side, so you should contact them.
Out here in LA, I can't tell you how many realtor, actor, writer, producer, directors
Yes,
I know. There are a lot of
But
those.
it's just because they all want the Bravo show. That's why they have the agent, behind their name.
But so they're fully vetted and they're listeners of the show, so they share your values. You can go to realestateagentsitrust.com. Find you your realtor today. All right. Oh, do we have to get into this?
We have to get into this. This is very important. We're a really serious culture now, and that's why we have added a word to the dictionary. Merriam-Webster added a word. It used to be, for Hispanic people, you'd say,
I'm a Latina.
You're a Latina?
Yes.
If I'm swarthy enough, I could be a Latino.
Yes.
No more. No more, because that's sexist. The new word is Latinx with an X. And this is funny for a few reasons. One, the Spanish language is gendered. It is a gendered language.
Everything about it,
thing.
right?
Yeah, they're
Okay.
the whole thing. But the other one is, it's all of these social justice warriors pushing Latinx. And yet, by inserting this Americanized, anglicized word, this is cultural imperialism. We are reconquering these people yet again. It is a total
And
total
telling
irony.
them how to talk and
yeah,
what
you-
to say. and
oh, I'm
when
sorry,
to
you're not
say it
allowed
and
to
not.
refer
Our language
yourself.
isn't good enough.
That's right.
For them.
No, I'm sorry, your primitive little language. No, sir. It's a Latinx. It also sounds so hideous.
It does.
If someone called me a Latinx, he's cruising for a bruising,
Someone
buddy.
called your sister Latinx.
Oh, don't you
right?
tell me. Yeah.
That's the like if somebody said that to. No, I'd be
Right.
like, excuse you?
But it is this quest. I mean, it's such a stupid word, but it is this quest in this culture to completely obliterate gender differences. We've now been told sexual difference has nothing to do with marriage. Sexual difference has nothing to do with jobs that you can do, even combat, even being a fireman.
They're even trying to change the sexual difference has nothing to do with whether or not you can have a child.
That's right.
Except
Oh, yes.
last I checked, even if you have a member that you weren't born with, the inside still counts.
That's right. But it's a bizarre thing in a culture where all we care about is sex. I mean, everyone is just talking about sex all the time, transgender, bathrooms, this and that. So we're told on the one hand, sex is the big difference that matters. You should mutilate yourself if you feel like a different sex. And then on the other hand, all the sexes are the same. We're equally pretty, aren't we? The three of us, we're all, I'm a beautiful young woman, aren't I? I don't think so.
I mean, I have seen you cross-dress.
That's true many times.
True story.
Really?
There have been
Well, you
numerous
know.
times that my daughters have come to see us here at the Daily Wire headquarters because we have an open door policy to adorable Krauss House children. And there have been costumes or dresses.
I might have had to go on as Elizabeth Warren on occasion.
in
you
hair
know,
and makeup.
Pocahontas.
And my 5-year-old has
don't know.
said, "Oh, there's another kid here? Where's the other little girl, Mommy?" Because a Moana costume was hanging.
this is
This
the-
man finds every excuse possible to dress up like a woman,
Okay, but on
especially if it's a Disney princess.
a more serious note, speaking of that, exposing children to that and whatnot, I think I told you this off air, that at my child's elementary school, that it tore me up inside that I was going to have to send him to public school just with my schedule, and I was like, it doesn't make sense to pay that much money to send him to private first grade. There are 2 children at his elementary school who apparently are males dressing as females.
This is child abuse.
In elementary school, it absolutely is
This is
child abuse.
pure child abuse. It's amazing. You know, we got rid of castrati, the singers, you know, who'd be castrated and when they were little kids. We got rid of that 100 years ago because it's wrong and immoral and abusive to kids. And now we're bringing it back. They are shooting kids with hormones to prevent puberty. They're encouraging these sorts of delusions. When I was 4 years old, I went around my birthday party as Batman. I had the cape. I was fighting crime. People indulged this for my birthday. They didn't indulge this at the elementary school.
Yeah.
This really does constitute child abuse.
And it's really dangerous because where does it stop? And I think the thing that bothers me the most is you are literally shooting in potentially dangerous levels of hormones into prepubescent boys and girls. It to me seems to go against everything that the Hippocratic Oath says.
Yeah, I mean, right, because we don't know the long-term repercussions of that. But
Well, we do know.
I mean,
unfortunately, we do know that 1 in 2 transgender high school students attempts suicide.
yes,
And
absolutely.
that it doesn't have to be long term. That's studies that we're seeing right now, and
Yes.
that to me, 1 in 2, heck, 1 in 100 is something that the scientific community and the medical community needs to take a pause.
Yeah.
Step back and say what really needs to be done here and what is the root cause of this issue.
Yeah, and I mean, aside from that, you know, what the hormones can do to your body, just putting them in your body
Look,
from
we've
such a young age.
We've even seen studies that have come out that are showing that there's higher suicidal rates, higher like breast cancer risk with hormonal birth control. And that's typically taken by girls in the United States, depending on their situation, from the ages of 15 and up.
Right.
And
I just take it as a recreational drug.
well, you do it for the acne.
I do it,
know
yeah.
that's your excuse.
So what would you say to your daughter? Let's say if she came home, right, and your middle daughter is how old?
5.
Okay, so she comes in and says...
She goes to a Catholic school, so this is not a problem.
Not at
thank God.
school, right? Okay, not at school.
We are not
You're in
even
a better
Catholic.
position than I am.
We're not
Let's
even
say-
Catholic.
let's
Michael
say
wants
that
to
it-
recruit her to Catholicism.
That's right.
That's so funny.
all of us actually, but
Let's say that it happened at
yeah.
a playground, you know, and she starts asking questions because I find myself trying to figure out, one of these days he's going to ask me what's going on, and I honestly don't know what the right answer is to tell him.
I think the biggest thing is it has to, like with faith, right? I'm going to talk to her about Catholicism and how we can respect it as a religion and view those classes as kind of world history of sorts, correct?
Yeah.
But then
You'll
if she
get
has
a lot of
more
good history out of it.
detailed questions about, well, why don't we believe in the Pope? I can delve into that. And I think a big thing with a 5-year-old is you have to talk to them at that level.
Yes.
Talking to a 5-year-old about somebody that's in the process of changing genders is going to be very different than speaking to a 15-year-old about
Right,
it.
right.
And I think the biggest thing that has helped me in some situations, because at her previous preschool, there were a couple little boys that would often come dressed in girl Disney princess attire, and their mother did have a Hillary sticker still on her
I'm
Prius.
shocked. Shocked to hear that.
And it was, well, why did they dress like that? Boys aren't supposed to dress like that. 5-year-olds know. Like,
Yeah.
they innately know that's a boy, that's a girl, this is how boys and girls dress. And I just say, well, some people don't believe and live their life the way that mommy and daddy do.
Yeah, absolutely. Good answer. All right, back in a minute. About to head into overtime, but don't forget, if you have not subscribed to the podcast, what are you waiting for? Go there now, subscribe, give us a good rating, all right? We'll see you in overtime talking LeBron coming to Hollywood.